So please welcome to the studio Kirsty, CEO of Media Cubs, and her son Jack.
So talk to us a little bit about Media Cubs. Why did you first decide to set it up?
So Media Cubs, for people who don't know, is a pop-up TV studio and newsroom, predominantly for 7 to 11-year-olds, but we also work with teenagers. And the idea behind it is that young people can learn how to create, debate and navigate the news with confidence. More important than ever at the moment, with lots of things that are going on in the news that might not be great for their well-being, so to make them understand how to navigate that, particularly through the pandemic. We feel like children weren't given a voice and a say during the pandemic, and we wanted to make sure that we could help them, people like Jack, broadcast their confidence and understand that they should have a say and their views and opinions matter too. So we upskill them in lots of different ways, and just like you have here with your TV studio, although ours is a lot more compact, and we just pop up into any space, whether that's a classroom, whether it's a sports hall, whether it's for somebody in a community centre. And we take the equipment along, they get the opportunity to have a go in front of the camera, behind the scenes as camera operators, and our motto really is that there's a place for everybody in the newsroom. Just like your team here, there's people who like being in front of the camera and those that don't, and we get the opportunity for each of them to shine in those roles.
Wow, that is incredible. And how do you feel about it, Jack? I mean, I'm assuming you've been through all the Media Cubs. Are you ready to jump in our gallery and help us?
Yeah, it's been really good, and it's really probably boosted my confidence a lot if I didn't go there. And yeah, she made a proud mum.
Oh, thanks.
Aww.
Do you have a favourite moment?
Probably when I got to interview Andy Burnham, and I got to ask him different questions about young people and what their view is on the news at that time.
Yeah, because obviously you come from a journalistic background, and you wanted kids to have a bit more of like a creative flair. Mm-hmm. So like, is it just because you were like, well, I got to do that, why don't my kids get to do that? Or was it so you saw something else? Was it like there's a gap in the market for it, or you were just like, oh, I want my kids to be able to do it?
I think a bit of everything of that, but predominantly it was inspired by Jack and his older brother Archie, because they're very creative, particularly Jack, and after school provisions I just felt like it was always very navigated towards sport, and there was a lot of pressure on them at the time where it was all around the new process with SATs, where basically all the fun was being sapped out of writing and any creative challenge that you could do. So I brought my two passions together really, being obviously a journalist myself, and I love working with young people, so I brought them together. So my background is that I worked at the Manchester Evening News for 12 years, I've also worked in broadcast, and I wanted to give them the opportunity to be able to do that, particularly children who might not necessarily have always been given those opportunities. So I'm from a working class background. You don't find a lot of working class people in newsrooms still, and that's still an issue today, and I think that's something with the kinds of children that we work with, is that we want to build their confidence to understand that actually, yeah, there is a place for you in newsrooms.
We want to push that through in the media.
Exactly. Why do you think it's so important for children to have creative outlets like Media Cubs?
I think it's really important to have a creative outlet because there's a place obviously for sport and we all need physical activity, but I think there's always an emphasis put on people's abilities by getting gold, silver medals in sporting activities, but not necessarily in stuff that is creative. And I think it's just as valuable as we grow into adults to understand that creativity is something that you should really keep hold of, and opens up so many opportunities for you in a career path. Jack's now still interested in wanting to, well, kind of like Media Cubs, but you want to be behind the scenes, don't you? Doing photography, and particularly wildlife photography, big inspiration from, not from me actually, from David Attenborough. But yeah, so it's just about showing that creativity is a really important thing that you should grow into and keep up with as an adult too.
No, that's amazing, and I think obviously we do need to bear that in mind. I mean, without something like that in our lives, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be in this studio interviewing you guys with, you know, the lights, the cameras, and wanting to...
You are the next generation.
Yeah, and Jack is also the next generation. And if you meet David Attenborough, please give him my number. That would be great.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for coming in, guys. It's really nice to talk to you.